Yeah, I mean, that would be awesome if that were the case. I know
Yeah.
that it's not, having listened to the calls. That there are other people, but maybe it's just they're busy in getting stuff done. Maybe. So yeah, George, how can I be of service?
Yeah, so I'm struggling with the whole process of defining my target customer. And so I need to take a step back. It's like before I even attempt to reach them, I need to be clear about who they are.
Mm,
And so I'm taking a step back even further, and I'm trying to make sure I'm clear on like my problem statement. So I'm kind of starting with, okay, I know I want to solve a problem for myself, so I want to be clear on that before I extrapolate to other people who are like me. So So I kind of took that and I'm like, okay, I want to have like a clear statement, kind of like user story style. So basically, the most specific piece is okay. So for me, as a music fan, I want to stay up to date with new releases from my favorite artists,
okay.
and that's like the most specific thing. And in terms of like the problem is okay, well, that's a problem that's annoying to me because if I don't stay up to date with the new releases from my favorite artists, I'm missing out.
Hmm.
And that, from a personal standpoint, it's a feeling of missing out. It's a frustration. It's not a it's not a killer pain point, but it's an annoying pain point.
Mm,
Um, okay, so yeah, so that's the statement. That's the problem statement. I know that applies to me, and I'm sure that applies to other people. But I need to figure out who those other people are. So as a music
mm,
fan, I want to stay up to date with new releases from my favorite artists. A little bit more broadly, which I would like to expand to. Maybe this is a little bit too premature to be thinking about it. Maybe I should just stay with a specific. But more broadly, it's um, as a music fan, I want to find and also keep track of new music that I like. Um, and that keep track of, so there's three parts of that statement. It's the find new music, it's find music that's new to me, it's keep track of that, and also it has to be music that I like. So, and that's where the problem lies, is because existing services, there are lots of existing music services, right?
hmm.
They're good at finding music. They're not so great at helping me keep track of it, and they're not so great at being very targeted towards music that I like. And also, it's also not necessarily always good at finding new music. That's music that's new to me. So the problem, complaints that I have with Pandora and Spotify, and that I've heard from customer interviews, is that Pandora and Spotify often play the same thing over and
Hmm.
over again.
Hmm.
Um, Specifically, Spotify, I found that when I listen to Spotify radio, they're always playing the same stuff all the time. Um, and that's something that I did find that okay, it's not just me that feels that way from customer interviews. People have kind of that was mentioned, at least multiple times. Um, so yeah, that's kind of where I'm at. That's kind of like the where I'm at as far as okay, I know problem statement, and it applies to me, and I know um, how I feel about it, and I know like what my behavior is, and I've looked, try to find. I'm kind of frustrated with what's out there today. I'm trying to figure out, okay, how do I find other people that are like me that have that same problem, also feel frustrated,
Hmm. Hmm.
and how
Okay.
and how do I define who those people are? Because I was like, okay, is it do I go because it's like I don't think it's so much. I don't know if I would go so much on like demographics. Certainly some, but I think this is one of those things where it's more, I think, driven on like behavior than on demographics.
Mm, yeah, that's a really interesting insight. I think you're probably right there that it's probably more demographic or behavior based than demographic. Okay, so let me just make sure that I'm on the same page. That you've got a problem now, um, in that you've identified your own problem, which is that you want to get notified of new music by your favorite artists.
Right.
And that's something that resonates with you. You also eventually want to start solving some other problems in terms of keeping track of new music that's interesting to you. And there's some problems that people have with existing services around finding new music that you would also like, because some of the existing services out there are sort of repeating the same songs over and over again.
Right. Or when you or they're either repeating the same songs when you kind of go that route, and then Spotify, for example, when you look for something new, their recommendations just kind of are just kind of showing you all kinds of stuff that are not very personalized.
Okay, so kind of crappy recommendations.
Yeah.
Research for something. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Great. So right now you've got these two sets of problems. One of which you validated other people have, and then the other one, have you validated that other people have the problem of getting notified when there's new music from their favorite artists?
Yeah, but it wasn't. I know other people have had that, but it was varying. Like some people were like, "Oh yeah, that was," a couple of people were like, "Oh yeah, it's a little bit annoying, a little bit frustrating," and a couple people were like, "Oh yeah, I was surprised. Oh, I was excited when I learned about it." I don't think I found the people where they were like, "Oh yeah, that's so annoying, I can't stand it."
Okay, great. So we've identified a problem that now in either of these two problems, groups of problems, did you find that any of the customers you were talking to were actively looking to solve those problems?
Right. I don't think I found those people yet.
In either group, so for either problem, no one's trying to solve either of those sets of problems. Is that right?
Right. They weren't actively looking.
Okay. Okay, great.
But they were also the people I interviewed. It was a very broad. It wasn't a very specific. I wasn't like I wasn't trying. I was just saying just like if you're a music fan, like I just want to interview you.
I see. I see. I see. Okay, great. All right. So right now we've got this broad set of people. We haven't found anyone who's got a problem they're actively looking to solve. So yeah, like I think the idea of sort of identifying specific personas or people is really interesting, but I'm biased. Why do you want to go through this process? What are you looking to accomplish?
So, well, my goal. Okay, so my plan is to build this app, but my goal is to find other people who will use it. I don't want to. I'll be happy to build the app, but after that, I don't want to be like
the only one using
user and there's like 100 downloads.
Okay.
I want to find those tens of thousands of people. I want to. I don't want to. 3 to 6 months after I get the app out, I don't want it to be like 500 downloads. I want it to be like thousands, tens of thousands.
Okay, awesome. That's great. Okay, so we're looking for the way to get you tens of thousands of downloads of this app. That you're gonna. Now, am I to understand that you're gonna build this app regardless because you want it, or if people? Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm gonna build this app regardless for a couple reasons. Because I want it. Also, it's partly for experience and stuff like that. So,
okay.
But the big question is, I want to be able to continue on and carry forward with it. I don't want to just get to that milestone and then have nowhere else to go. I want to get to that milestone and then have a customer base who I can serve and keep make happy with that app, and then continue from there to give them more of other features and other problems they want to solve.
Okay. All right, great. Okay, so I just want to acknowledge Michelle. Welcome, Michelle.
Hi.
Hi, Michelle.
Hey guys. Hey George.
So since we got lots of time for each person, I was going to go for a little longer with George and then roll on to you, Michelle. Is that all right?
Absolutely. Apologize for being late.
Oh, no worries. No worries. Okay.
I was at the dentist. No cavities.
Oh, yay! Congratulations. All right. Okay. So this
I'm
makes a lot of
interested in George's problem, his stuff too. So.
Cool. Great. All right. So George. All right. So you're gonna build this app anyway. and we want to make sure that we can get you 10,000 downloads. So, the idea, do we think that targeting at a specific group of people, getting more specific, is going to help you get those 10,000 downloads?
Yeah, I mean, that's a big question for me. That's a really big question that I've been trying to figure out is, do I go like super specific, super niche, or do I go for broader appeal, which, there's a huge audience, but I'd have like a much lower conversion rate, obviously.
Right. Yeah, I hear you. This is a real problem that I faced, and I know that basically every startup faces, because we want to build an idea that's big enough to support us and support our dreams and our visions, including tens of thousands, if not millions of users. But how the hell do we start? Like, how do we get those millions of users? Because if we try to appeal to a big, broad audience, typically our words just sort of fall flat because we're not speaking to any one person directly, and so they're all sort of like, that's for somebody else.
Right, but if you're too niche, you're too niche.
Yeah, you're too niche, right? Yeah. No one identifies as a music fan; they identify as a U2 fan.
Yeah.
Right. And I've seen the same problem, small and medium-sized businesses, right? Anyone who says SMBs are my target audience, they basically don't know who their target audience is, because they're vastly, the pizza shop owner is different than the accountant, is different than the guy who's, selling stuff out of his house. So, so I want to recognize that this is a problem. Now, the theories that we work with today in the startup world are sort of based on these notions of early adopters, early majority, late majority laggards. Are you familiar with these?
Yeah.
Okay, great. So the theory goes that the early majority are distinct from the early adopters for one particular reason. And do you know what that reason is?
I don't remember.
Okay. So the curve, if you haven't seen
it, I think it was is that the early majority, they kind of are looking for that social proof?
Exactly. That's exactly right. Yeah. So this big hump that we get, this big early majority, there's one thing separating them from adoption, and it's early adopters. They have to hear about this problem from someone else. These are the people who are like, oh yeah, a smartphone's a really good idea now that I've seen someone else have it. Right? Now that I see how cool it is to have a smartphone and how great it is and all the apps and kind of stuff. So now that I've heard about Pandora from someone else, I'm super excited to listen to it. Now that other people are on Facebook, I'm excited to see it. But the very first people to take these things, these are where we have to start any initiative that we even want to hope to get early majority towards. And the trick is to get this early majority, to get the early adopters, we have to niche really, really specifically, and we have to niche to a point that there's no way we can actually get 10,000 people with just this early adopter segment.
Yeah.
Because we're going to speak directly to them, right? Did you miss the announcement of the last YouTube album?
Right, exactly.
Never let that happen again.
Right. So if I can start with like 200, 500 people, even, that I would be happy to start with.
Yeah, because that's exactly right. Because we're going to use those people, and we're going to say, look, if I understand these particular people's problems so well, and I find that they're actively taking steps to try and solve these, and I put together a solution that solves them, I do all of this stuff, and I still can't reach some sort of success metric when I'm being super targeted, there's no way in hell I'll be able to do it at scale. Right. So this is our test ground. You're going to dive straight in to one particular or two or very small number of segments. And you're going to start testing with these guys, and you're just going to nail the shit. You're going to understand their problems, and you're going to nail the shit out of them. And then from there, we'll start talking about, okay, George, awesome. You're getting conversion rates of 10, 20% for the U2 group. Who's the next group we're going to add on? And you're going to add on genre after genre, and then maybe you'll eventually be able to get that 10,000. So with that in mind, I don't know. Do you believe it? Do you think it's worth trying this niche thing, or do you, sort of what concerns pop into your head?
I think my only concern is competing existing solutions. Because the more niche you go, the more likely there might be just one little thing off out there that does exactly that one thing as well. But I think that's okay, because Yeah. Okay. So if I were to like, for example, if I were to go super niche and like literally only try to target YouTube fans, well, they're probably already served by being on the YouTube fan club mailing list.
Okay.
So I think that is I think I just take it just a little step further, which is YouTube fans who also like other bands and want to keep up with other bands as well, which is I think not a big stretch at all because if you like U2, chances are that's not the only music band in the world you like.
Interesting. Okay, so then maybe what you're describing is a different segment. Maybe there's if I'm hearing you right, there's the U2 fan who's like crazy obsessed with U2 and
Right.
not interested in any other band, right?
Right.
And then there's maybe the person who likes a subset, a set of bands that are similar to U2, right? U2
Right.
and other things. Um, okay, so that makes sense to me. I think it's worth also recognizing that there's a lot of different ways that we could cut these segments up. So one is on the band level or the musician level. What other ways are there to take this big pie of music fans and cut them up?
Do it by genre, but that's pretty general.
Yeah.
Could do it by how they listen to the music. Like, do you do it on YouTube? Do you do it on do you buy the music?
Yeah. Yeah, because there's a difference between people who only stream versus um, people who really like collect like all the box sets and the DVDs and the vinyl records and stuff like that. That's another one.
Yeah. So there you're keying on behaviors. This is great, right? So we're not talking about demographics anymore. We're talking about the person who buys actual physical things and gets them
Yeah.
mailed to them versus the person who gets downloads or doesn't download anything at all. Who
Right.
just listens to free streams, right?
Right.
Okay, that's great. That's an awesome different way to cut the segment. What else we got? What other ways to skin this cat?
Maybe how they, not very good, but I'll offer it, what they want their music for. So I thought it was really interesting what Beats that came out with their whole part of their whole message was now you can entertain really easily because we'll give you a playlist that's good for someone like you and you can just pop it on your speaker at a party and you're like all set.
Yeah, that's a
I
good
don't
one.
think that's very good, but that's, yeah.
No, that's really good because there's people who are more like listen to music more individually versus people that are more social.
Well, and I thought that was so interesting because I don't totally follow the music business, but I mean, Beats is someone's trying to buy it already, right? And
Yeah.
they came out in a really crowded space where you would think, oh, how could anything be different, right?
Yep.
Yeah, this is really interesting right here. This notion of why are you playing music? Like the person who's playing music because they're bored on the subway versus the person who's playing music because they're looking for a creative outlet versus they're doing something at work versus they're party planning versus they're a DJ, they're a wedding something or other. Like these sort of roles, when you're thinking about someone's like jobs, as in like the jobs that they're performing, there you could unlock some real pain. Like I don't know what it is, but there's who has pain around knowing what the latest music is?
Teenager.
Yeah, so I mean,
so I have a teenager, right? And so he, it's like who can find the coolest music to share, and you get like street cred for finding the coolest, But they don't buy it, right? They just pirate it, and then
So
totally
this is really, really important to what I'm doing in my app is, I mean, to put it, I can't put it any more subtle, but it's like It's for people who have OCD. I mean, it's people who are obsessive compulsive.
That's awesome.
It's my friend. It's my friend who literally waited in line. It's for the people who literally wait outside a concert stadium and wait in line for like hours, so that they can be the first in line, right?
All right, this is awesome, right? This is
really
a
specific.
real customer segment, right?
Yeah.
People with OCD who listen to music.
Yes, people with OCD. It's really people with OCD. That's it.
Okay, so now do you have OCD?
Well, when it comes to this, like I kind of am. Like I am kind of like it. I kind of have like this obsessive compulsive like frustration when I don't have like perfect organization of like my music wish list.
Oh, this is a really good one too, right? People, describe that in a behavior. What's a behavior that indicates someone might have these same concerns about organization in music?
Yeah. So me, I have to resort to these horrible things. I mean, to me, I find it horrible that I have to like manually keep a document in my Dropbox of like music I want to listen to because I have some stuff like like bookmarked in Pandora, I have some stuff on Spotify, I have some stuff I got an email, and I don't have a single place to keep track of everything.
Hmm. What are other things that you do that don't have to do with this particular problem? But tell me more about your music. Like, how do you download the music? How do you organize your downloads?
Yeah, so for me, I have a CD collection, and then the subset of that I've converted to onto my computer, and then a subset of that I have copied over to my iPhone. Then I have like a handful of other devices, but I don't really use those anymore. And then I have the music that I stream, Pandora, Spotify, or one of the radio apps.
Okay. So, I mean, what you're describing now are some of the behaviors that someone has who may indicate that they have the same problem that you have, right? That you still have CDs and that you've managed to get some of the files from the CD to your computer, right? That's a behavior. The person who's converting old stuff into new stuff, that's a specific behavior because you want it. If there's maybe some sort of organizational techniques and file structures or apps out there or blogs who are talking about ways to organize your files, you're stumbling onto people who have who may have similar behaviors that indicate that they have the same problem that you have.
Yeah. So it's like the same type of people that use Evernote, for example. Right? It's the same people
Evernote
that
for
will
music. Cool.
that what's that?
Evernote for music.
Yeah, it's the same type of people who are on Pinterest all day long because they're always looking for stuff and then want to like pin it, right? It's the exact same behavior. It's the exact same. It's the Evernote Pinterest behavior segment,
Gotcha.
but a different vertical.
Right, exactly. So it sounds like you've got the workings here. It sounds like you've got a fantastic understanding of why we actually want to niche. That you understand that like being broad is not going to help anybody. That to be specific and to be niche is going to help us win and test things at a very small group, understand the problems, and start solving them. And then it sounds like you also have an understanding of like how to go about doing that. So we've talked about several ways to cut this thing, right? To take these people. We talked about, artists. You can go different artists. You can go different genres. You can go to how they listen to these things. You can go to why they're playing their music, and then what sort of diseases, what sort of mental diagnosis they have that indicate it. So in each one of these categories, what I suggest is that you go through and whatever brainstorming technique you like best, whether it's write each one down on a Post-it note, whether it's just write them all down in Evernote, whatever works for you to throw all of them out there. And there will likely be dozens, if not hundreds, of these options. And then start pulling out like the top 10 that make sense to you, and then run the spa treatment on those 10 so that we can figure out which niche specifically we're going to go start interviewing and understanding their problems.
Okay.
Does that sound fair?
Right.
Okay, awesome. When are you going to do that by?
Okay, so I can make that my SMART goal for the week then.
Okay, cool. Cool, I like it. And what's that going to be? What's the goal going to be?
It will come out with the top 10 and then a prioritized, like an evaluation, like a document with those top 10 and then like a priority of them. Um, yeah,
Top
and then like, what do
10.
you mean by when? Okay, when you say run the spot treatment on them, like
Uh-huh.
what does that
The
mean?
spot treatment, I will send you, let's see, do we have chat in here? Yeah, there we go. The spot treatment is just something I made up to help with this specific problem.
Okay, perfect.
It's just a way, it's in the blog post. Oh yeah, thanks Doug. It's a way to prioritize your customer segments basically. like, okay, you've got these hundreds of them, where do you start? And this is just a way to get started.
Okay, great.
So George, are you doing
Right.
the
So my
top
SMART
10?
goal is to follow that process.
Are you doing the top 10 behaviors or top 10?
I think it'll be more behavior driven.
Okay, I think that's great, right? Go ahead and do that, and then share that out on the Facebook group and say, hey, here's the results of my cat team or my spa, and then we'll check. There are some things that we can do to sort of finesse it and maybe make it more powerful and less powerful. But let's not worry about that for now. Let's just get you rolling on this thing, and then we'll sort of refine it and help you kick some ass.
Okay. Okay. Sounds
Cool.
great.
Awesome. Feel free to stick around if you like.
Yeah, I'm gonna stick around.
Okay, great. Michelle, great to see you again. Oh, but Michelle is frozen or asleep. All right. Hopefully she'll come back. Oh, there she is. Hey, Michelle, are you with us?
Can you hear me?
Oh, okay. It looked like you had.
Yeah.
Yeah, it looked like you had
Let me
narcolepsy for a
move
second.
on to a. No. Can you hear me all right now?
Yeah, sure can.
Okay. Hey.
Hey. I was listening to the
You
tough
look
week
very
you had.
official with your little footer in your video.
Right? Classy, huh?
Yeah.
You guys can have them
So-
too. They're in the
Oh.
Hangout toolbox.
I feel like I should kiss the ring. This is exciting.
Yeah. Well, no, then definitely go create your own, because that's not what this. I'll turn mine off if that's the way it's making you feel.
Like the curtain parts, and you may now talk to Oz. No, seriously, you're awesome. All in the best way of saying that.
I appreciate it.
So, I think you're awesome. So, are we recording?
We are.
Yes. Okay. So I'll be
Yeah.
very general.
Okay.
If you want me to be more specific, I need the recorder turned off.
Okay, sounds
so
good.
my general question is, how can we use customer development to determine if an idea is worth pursuing? So is there some sort of gating criteria that we can use with the customer development process to narrow down ideas, especially in a collaborative situation with a co-founder?
Sure. Yeah. So there's another cat team. There's another person on the cat team who is working on a service where there are 3 founders. One of the founders wants to do one business, and the other 2 founders want to do a different business.
Right.
Sure. So is that sort of what you're referring to? Like, how the hell can we use data and science to help us figure out which of these businesses we should build?
So I think where we are with my business from on Tuesday.
Mm-hmm.
What to just say more generally, when you're thinking through different ideas or businesses, it's really easy and really tempting to default to the way we used to do it, which is, how about this idea? What are we good at? How about this idea? Well, I have this problem. And then you sort of go do the customer dev, right? But you kind of already know the problem, or you wouldn't think it was a problem. So, or you weren't passionate enough yourself to think of it. So, I'm loving learning about the how to do more properly customer dev steps, and I feel like I've gotten better at those, doing mTurkey and all that stuff, and just understanding your perspective and reading more about it. I'm wondering how that can be used to help us at the higher end of the funnel where we find ourselves back at.
Yeah.
Right. The idea, which business do we want to do?
Does the business that you want to do, is it serving the same customer segment?
No.
Okay.
No.
Okay.
It's more. So we're more. Problem focused, enablement focused. So, for example, I'm really passionate about empowering people to level up their financial situation, whether that's someone who's a single mom trying to get the electric bill paid, or whether that's someone that's a white class professional trying to send their kids to college and figuring that out. It's all about level up for me, and empowering people to do that. So that's the theme.
Okay, and then
so it's kind of thematic, I guess.
Does your co-founder have a different sort of mission or group of people that she wants to help?
Of course.
Well, this is a great foundation for starting a company then. She wants to help dragon owners. We're having a hard time collaborating.
I love my co-founders, not at all the issue.
Yeah, well, it's not a matter of whether or not your co-founder is an awesome person or whether or not they kick ass. But if you guys are, you're building an organization that's going to serve, whose purpose in life is to serve a group of people. And if you guys are passionate about different groups of people, you can still help one another, but you may be building different businesses.
Right. Yeah.
Now, as far as using customer development if you still are like, I would rather work with this person than I would work on serving a particular group of people, and then you're open to, like, let's use customer development to figure out which one of us is going to enable, or which of these segments is going to enable us to build a company. What do you think? What are the? This is an awesome tool to validate whether or not there are problems. What are ways that you can think of to try these things out, to figure out which of these segments is going to enable you guys to build an organization?
Well, let me rephrase my question, if I may.
Sure.
So I'm a big fan of analysis and ratings and spa treatment, right? So I guess what I'm asking, is there a spa treatment on ideas, right? Can you put data behind that to pick? So when I think about it, it's like, given my abilities and my passion, whose problem is the biggest that I can solve the best, or something like that. That's kind of mentally how I think about it, and then I think, well, where's the competition? Where's the business in terms of evolution? Where is it in terms of investment? So, you think about a lot of stuff. I was wondering if you thought of anything from that perspective. I was almost going to create a rating system for ideas.
I love it. I think you're onto something.
I was hoping you had that. But, because you know what I mean. It's like, especially when you have a great co-founder, it's just the great thing is you have ideas flowing very freely. It's like, what about this? What about this? So we can do that. We can do that. I have that problem, right? And then you sort of chase your tail and you go down, a path, and you do customer dev, and you go, maybe a big problem, but not that we can solve, or not that we want to, be doing that. I'm just trying to figure out a way to, make that efficient and make it the straightest line. Because I think there's, we're not there yet, but at some point there's frustration factor,
Failing sucks. Not building stuff sucks. Yeah.
Well, just of like, I'm so ready to build something, but if we can't figure it out after a few months, people just get frustrated, right?
Yeah.
And we're not there, but I don't want that to happen. So
Yeah. All right. So the secret behind the spot treatment is that I just made it up, right? Like I had a problem. I needed to prioritize my customer segments, and I said, well, wait, what are the characteristics that really matter in terms of customer segments? And so it was like, size, likelihood they'll pay, and access. And that was sort of it. So you've already identified the things that are important to you with respect to a business. Whether, what's the competition, what's the investment, what's the how, blah, blah, blah. So, like, you will be running these groups shortly with your version of the idea spot, right? So I don't have any great solution there. I mean, one, we could just take the spa treatment. You could run the spa for 2 different ideas, and then you could compare what the higher numbers are, right? Because these are, just from a business perspective, this class of ideas we think we're more likely to find more people that will pay to solve the problem, and we can access them.
Right.
If you want to add on extra columns for the likelihood that you can solve that problem, or your passion around solving that problem, that might be a good place to start. As far as investment and or competition, your choice on what goes into your assessment. I don't really value competition that much. I don't really pay much attention to competition.
So I do, because if there's no competitors, to me it's not a market.
Boo. That's boo. I do not like that approach.
Why?
Because you're relying on other people's validation or lack of validation to build your business. So just because other people have not been smart enough to ask customers their problems doesn't mean that you should not. And just because there are lots of people who are building something does not mean that you should also go build something. Like, and I know that's a very popular sentiment, like, oh, if you don't have any competitors, there's no business. Well, I don't care. I'm going to go do my own first-hand research for my business. So.
Yeah, I mean, so the example is that previous segment we looked at, one way to approach it, we had 4 million, like you did a Google search and there was 4 million returns. Like, I'm not kidding.
Okay.
And you go, well, right. Hard to differentiate.
Yeah, I mean, but here's the trick, though. If the customer segment is still having a problem,
right,
it doesn't matter, right? Like, George has a problem finding new good music, and of course we would all say, well, what's wrong with Pandora? What's wrong with Spotify? And
but it's not meeting his need, clearly, right?
Exactly. So it doesn't matter if there's tons of entrenched.
Yeah, I got you.
Cool.
Okay.
So I think it would be great if you came up with your list, like here are the columns, and then shared them with us, and then we'll make you famous. And then you two can have a bar with your name on the bottom. Yeah. So what do you think? Is that going to be part of your SMART goal for the next week?
Yeah, it could be. I mean, I already achieved my SMART goal that we did. Like, we thought one was, look into 2 segments, and I loved one. It was not widely shared, and then we both agreed the other was not going to fly. So.
All right. Well, so we need some more.
No, we just need to do the first one. I just need to negotiate.
No, so
don't play this publicly.
Okay, here's the trick, not for applicable to Michelle and her situation, but to anyone else who wants anyone else to help them achieve their own personal goals. The way that I leverage this one hammer, which is customer development, that I swing at everything, is if I want someone to help me with something, I figure out the problems that they are having. And then I say, well, is there any way possible that I can help them solve their problems with the thing that I want them to help me with? So again, it's not applicable in Michelle's situation at all. But if you happen to run into any situation where there is someone who you want to help you do something, understand their problems, and then maybe they will help you solve yours.
Hmm.
Cool, Michelle. Awesome. Well, I'm gonna roll to George or to Doug, but please let us know what you come up with, because I'm positive you are not the only person with more ideas than time to go pursue them, and I know that other people would probably benefit from that.
Okay. Thanks.
Cool. Good luck.
Thanks.
Hey, Doug.
Hey,
¿Cómo estás?
bien, ¿y tú?
Muy
Me llamo
bien,
Marco.
muy bien. Me explica.
¿Cómo
Oh,
te-
no comprendo.
Yeah,
Mi
same
español
here.
es muy mal. So what is up? How can I be of service?
So it's a very specific question, and I did the next program in Honolulu for 5 weeks, and we ended up about 4 weeks ago. Our effort was one of the companies selected to go to the next round if we want to do that. And the next round being they bring 12. Well, the next round is they evaluate everyone there, and then if you make that evaluation, there's a 12 company fight. Essentially, in New York for whoever wins that round of next or whatever.
Okay.
So, my initial reaction was I didn't want to go forward and do it. That I didn't really think it would be helpful. You know those guys, you know something about their process, and I just wanted to kind of check with you. The main, I think, concern I had was about it being too public. Like, I don't mind writing up the application and having that go to the judges. That doesn't worry me at all. But then if it goes to New York and we're in a public forum and it gets written up about here's all the different ideas and stuff like that, I don't think we're ready for that. So I just wanted to kind of get a sense, am I being crazy not to pursue this? Is this a phenomenal opportunity? What, from your position as someone who knows the next program, and what your thoughts were,
Sure.
and our business.
Right. Yeah, no, this is something that I am actually struggling with, something similar in that these opportunities come up and they're slight distractions. They have their pros and their cons, but they're like sort of distraction from the main purpose. And are they worth the investment? I think it's a really these are tough things to consider when you're an entrepreneur, and this is basically why entrepreneurship is so difficult on the work-life balance, because we find we're just desperate for success in any way. It's like, well, maybe this is it, and so maybe I should go down this thing and do it. But the truth is, like, maybe this is the thing. So I'd love to sort of talk about the pros and cons. I first need to say that I'm not familiar with Next. So
Okay.
Next Square.
Okay. Right.
I think this is some sort of demo day that they're putting on. Is that right?
Essentially, yeah. It's I don't know how many they have that go into it. But of the current crop of 5 weeks next programs, they take 1 or 2 companies from each of those. They have them fill out an app, and then they choose an application, and then they choose 12 to go to. And I don't know, the winner gets an opportunity to pitch angel or VC or something like that. It's not actually a cash reward, I don't think. So, another opportunity to hone the pitch, certainly, and to, potentially, meet some other folks that are doing some interesting things. Not exactly the kind of stuff that's going to, I think, drive our business right now. And then I have the sort of privacy. I'm not excited about putting our business model and idea out there in front of the whole startup community, I guess.
Okay. So let's talk about your business right now. So take Next and this whole thing aside. What are the top 3 challenges you imagine your business facing in the next 6 months?
I think validating problem solution fit, and then moving from there into customer validation and validating the MVP and validating product market fit.
Awesome.
To me, that's what I think we need to be working on.
Great. Okay.
Sometime this last week, one of the things I did was try to come up with some specific criteria for us that would say, okay, now we're moving out of customer development and we're moving into customer validation.
Mm-hmm.
So how many interviews, how many positive responses, how many positive signups on the whatever those are going to be, that we're going to say, okay, that's good customer development for this idea. Let's move it to customer acquisition and see how we do in terms of that. So, I mean, that's where I think we need to focus.
Awesome. Okay. What you're saying, I think, is totally right. Like that,
Right.
You're talking about validating the problem, validating the solution. Let's go make sure that we can get some money. Like you're doing all the right stuff. So if this is the mission of the business for the next 6 months, how does Startup Weekend next? How does that help you, if at all, achieve those goals?
One of the issues that we have is that when I talk about moving from finishing customer discovery is under $5,000, let's say. If I look at those activities and what is it going to cost, it's under $5K, and I can cover that no problem. In customer validation, it's probably higher. It's 30, maybe 40K. And taken as a whole, not the first chunk of it, but the whole piece, maybe say 30 to 40K.
Okay.
That's not something that I'm comfortable covering right now.
Okay.
So I either need to figure out a way to break that up into smaller pieces that, if successful at each round, we keep going and I keep committing money to, or I need to find someone to put 50K in and say, hey, I'm going to fund your customer validation effort.
Gotcha.
So if next,
Oh, I just want to make sure I understand. When you say customer validation, what sort of steps are you thinking about that's involved in sort of the 30, 40K?
Building an additional title, testing, doing different tests on it in different configurations, testing different new features like customization. Is customization valuable enough that we should build it at launch, or is it part of the MVP, or is it not part of the MVP? Going out and talking to stores, which are going to be channel partners for us, and seeing how many of them we can sign up. That kind of activity. So it's a mix of some product development and time. As I looked at that, so I have kind of two scenarios for that. There's the 30 to 40K scenario is we could do that step in 6 weeks, because I can bring other people on and we can get their help to do this kind of stuff. I can hire professional voice actors, stuff like that. I could probably do the same thing in about 5K in about 6 months. So it'll be much slower because I'm going to be using Fiverr. Hey, Steven. I'm going to be using Fiverr instead of professional voiceover actors, and that takes twice as long. I'm not going to be able to hire folks for as much time, so I'm going to have to do more of the work. So it would be a slower but less expensive phase rather than a quicker, more expensive phase. And an additional 5 I could fund, so that wouldn't be an issue. I'm anxious to move this out a little bit closer.
Gotcha. Okay.
So if next results in 50K of angel investment, potentially, but I think we have an intriguing idea. I don't know it's the kind that Next is going to want to have say is funded or is won their competition. Honestly, So.
Yeah. Is it okay if we share your idea with?
Yeah, sure.
On this. Okay. So just to be clear, this is recorded, so your people on the internet will be able to see this. I would love to share it, but I think your call.
So we're creating customized audio erotica for women to use. Right. And it's like a custom audiobook that's downloadable, about 10 to 15 minutes, and they can customize the voices and to a certain extent the scenarios. And it's a audio-visual stimulation that works more on the audio channel, which is typically more powerful for women than the visual channel, which is what men typically are interested in.
Gotcha. Great. Okay, so this is okay. So the benefit of Next is that you could get $50,000 worth of angel investment, assuming a number of things go in a certain pattern.
Right.
Okay.
Small likelihood, I would say.
So, yeah, small likelihood. I'll throw in that angel investors, any investor, what they want out of a business may or may not align with what you want out of a business.
Sure.
And so there's the whole question about whether or not you get funding is far too complex to sort of wrap up in the next 5 minutes.
Right.
But it's extremely expensive. So you in exchange for $50,000, you will, one, spend 6 months trying to get that $50,000. Two, give up control of a significant portion of your business, even if it's not like actual control of like decision making. Things will have to be vetted through these people.
Sure.
You may have to change what your personal success criteria look like because it needs to align with these people.
Right.
So this $50,000 is going to come with a $500,000 price tag, essentially, and you know, if we think about this money, I wonder if there's a way that's not you paying for it, but there's a way that it's customer funded, you know, either through sales or through crowdfunding or something else that can help you alleviate that. That's less expensive than getting angel investment.
And maybe that validates the idea along the way.
Right? Yeah, absolutely. Right? Kill two birds with one stone. So if Next is not aligning with the next 6 months of your business, I know it may feel uncomfortable to let a potential opportunity to grow a business slip away, but I promise you there will be others if there's a real need for the business.
Sure.
If the business needs to thrive, there's an incredible ecosystem out there that's going to make sure it thrives.
Right.
So if you do your work of ensuring that this business needs to exist, the rest of the world will help you.
Cool.
And as far as the privacy stuff goes, what do you think? Like what's your big concern about sharing this publicly?
Well, of course, there's the standard entrepreneur fear that people are going to steal my idea, right? And that we start getting looked at and getting attention before we're really ready for it. Like, hey, what are you doing? Well, we really only have one demo right now. You know, I mean, we have some interesting ideas, but we don't have that much stuff actually fleshed out yet. And so it's sort of attention too early, I guess, is the concern.
And attention from customers or attention from investors, or what attention are you worried about?
The market, like press, like other people in the industry looking at, hey, those are guys, you know, they take a first look at us, they decide they don't like us, and then 6 months later, when we go back to their store, like, for example, what's the big chain? Good Vibrations. So they read about it, hey, we were one of the finalists for Next. So they, oh, that sounds interesting. They look at our stuff and they're like, oh, those guys, no good. 6 months later, we were in a much better position. I go back to Good Vibrations and I say, hey, I want to talk about doing a partnership deal. Oh, we looked at you guys, you know, before. And I don't think there's alignment. No, we're much better now. You know, maybe that's to be expected, but
yeah, it's a valid concern. You know, getting exposure too early and sort of losing your first impression.
Right.
I would sort of consider it a very nominal concern, only in that there is so much other noise out there right now, right? Like, people are inundated with crap all the time, and what you're probably going to run into a problem with is not that you're getting too much attention early, it's that you're not getting enough attention when you're ready.
Right.
Right? Because people are already like it takes you know, acts of God to get someone to pay attention to your new product. I don't think, you know, participating in anything, including this recording, is going to result in anything that you need to worry about.
Right.
So valid concern, though. I mean, it is worrying, but I wouldn't worry too much about it. And the same thing goes with people stealing your idea. I mean, the truth is, if you're kicking ass in something, people will be attracted to it. However, they will almost certainly have the same reaction that we all do when we encounter a competitor. Like, what's your knee-jerk reaction when you encounter a competitor?
Call the founder. I'm sorry.
Is that your? So Michelle, I know that you just ran into a bunch of competitors. Did you call all those founders?
Yeah, I
No.
do.
Okay, so Doug, what's your reaction to those to running into competitors?
Well, my solution's better.
All right, exactly. So you say, "Fuck 'em. I'm gonna do my thing anyway," right? Yeah.
They don't get it.
They don't get it. I'm doing something differently.
I'm brilliant. Yes.
Yeah. Or, if you're already established, by the time you've won Next or whatever program, a lot of people run away.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, there's already someone doing this. There's competitors in the market. If they're doing competitive analysis, you'll have scared them away.
Right, that's true.
So, I've been working with entrepreneurs for a long time, and I've put a number of businesses out there. I've literally never seen anyone copy a business that didn't deserve to be copied. That said, customer acquisitions teams is a almost direct copy of something else that I had no idea existed. So Lean Startup Circle has something called peer-to-peer groups.
Yes.
And just through the natural osmosis of understanding customers, I happened to stumble upon the exact same solution that Lean Startup Circle had built, and we're now collaborating to build an even better program. And, I'm just talking with the guys who are running them, and they're helping me, and we're sharing all the data and all that kind of stuff. So something good can actually happen from that.
That's great. Yeah, sure, of course. Yeah, there's a lot of space in the market, right?
Exactly. Yeah, this is not a zero-sum game for any of us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. Thank you. Very
Sure,
helpful.
my pleasure. Awesome, team. Okay, well, thanks for joining. If you guys have any feedback about the office hours session, please feel free to email me or just tell me now. We'll be looking to expand this as appropriate. If more people want this, and possibly bringing on other mentors if necessary. But yeah, as always, your feedback is very appreciated.
Thanks. I just added something on chat.
I just saw that. Thank you. I'll take a look at it.
I don't completely understand your business, but based on what I just heard, check out Vibease.com, Vibease.com. They were the runner-up at the Founder Showcase last week, the pitch competition, and they may be a partner for you.
Yeah, that's funny.
Interesting. Yeah. Cool.
They I haven't seen their website, but they partner with companies that I think is what you're doing.
Right.
Maybe. I don't know. So.
And Justin, they have the mobile-to-mobile partner simulation thing.
Exactly. Yeah, I don't know if you know Michelle, but I built an app called which was a direct competitor with Vibease before Vibease made this
really, the
wicked.
mobile thing?
Yeah. Like, this is a beautiful site they've got here. Yeah, so good for them. It's some really interesting stuff to be done there. Cool. All right. Well, I'm gonna end this broadcast, and then we'll all go about kicking ass in our weeks.
Okay. Thanks
All right.
so much, guys.
Yeah, my pleasure. Talk to you guys later.
Bye.